I'm absolutely delighted to introduce my guest here, Jennifer Power of Fitzgerald Power accountancy firm based in Waterford in Dublin. Jennifer is a partner with the firm. Welcome to Waterford Property Watch, Jennifer.
Thank you very much for having me, Regina.
Jennifer, I know that the budget was recently and lots of discussion around it, but I wanted to bring you in here and I suppose have a little chat about what's your overall thoughts on what we saw in the budget?
Yeah, so there probably wasn't any huge surprises in this budget. It was a pre-election budget, and so by that I would mean that the budget really did put a little back to a lot of people. And in fairness to the government, they did that through the social protection package and the cost of living package that they announced. They cut things like USC rates, they increased our standard cut-off point. So all of that will mean that we all have a little bit more disposable income next year, which is a positive. I suppose on the flip side of things, it maybe lacked real targeted measures for SMEs, and for property developers and for landlords and renters alike. And that is a disappointment, I know, to a number of people.
It is. Look, one good thing was the tax credit for renters, which has gone from $750 to $1,000, which means for two people, a couple, that's now worth $2,000 per annum that they can get on a tax back. Yeah. And we're going to write to all of our tenants to make sure that they know about it. I suppose for me, the real miss out is that they've done nothing for small property owners. So whilst in one way they're giving it to tenants, that credit, what we see now today, 11 properties advertised for rent on Daft, and some of the rents are enormously high. They're obviously rented out for the first time, so they've bypassed the rent pressure zone. But we're expecting tenants to pay way over the odds because the supply for new rentals has shrunk to like 11 properties in Waterford City. It's shocking.
It is shocking, yeah.
I mean, in your opinion, Jennifer, you're the accountant, the profession, what do you think that the government might have done for small property owners who only own one or two? I'm sure you have clients in that situation.
I do think that it's a pity that we didn't see any move to the credit for earned rental income that was announced last year, because as you said, that really helps that landlord, that property owner that may just have one or two properties. And we would have a number of clients. I have one in particular who has gone through interest rate hikes over the last couple of years. They may be in a rent pressure zone. And so they're getting to the point where they could consider actually getting out of the market. I've one client in particular who has put their property up for sale because at the end of the year, after he pays his mortgage and after he pays his income tax on that rental income, he doesn't have anything left. So the government, I would feel, do need to do something to incentivise those landlords to stay in the market. Absolutely,
and I don't even like calling them landlords because they're small property owners and they're not like these big funds. So it's really not. The government have failed to deal with the supply issue, which is really disappointing. The mansion tax, we discussed that. That's actually what they call it in selling sunset, mansion tax.
The stamp duty increase, so it went for properties over 1.5, went up to 6%. It does sound like a lot, but you were actually telling me earlier that last year this would have only affected 450 home sales in the year. So is that going to have any difference, make any difference?
Well, I was reading a really interesting article in the Sunday Business Post yesterday that Keith Lowe from D&G shared, really 450 properties a year selling across the country, over 1.5 million. It's a so what. Yes, it impacts a small few, but it's really sort of, I don't know, it's sending out a message to voters, I think, as opposed to anything else. It's a political throw, really.
On the face of it, you would have to
totally. We've spoken about the VHT, which I've nicknamed the lose it or move it. Is it really a lose it or move it?
Look, like you tell me, I know like from the 1st of November, So, you know, it's very immediate. The vacant home tax increases to 7 times the basic rate of LPT if the property is vacant for over 30 days. But will that be enough to push that home owner to ensure that the property is not vacant?
Well, I was looking, I'm imagining a property empty for that period of time, and I've gone in at the lowest band for the property tax, which is €99 in Waterford.
Yeah.
So it's 7 times that figure, just shy of €700. Is €700 tax going to be enough to get somebody to sell up or force them to take action? I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's a bit of a box ticking job.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
I could be wrong.
I was really glad to see the extension to the Help to Buy scheme. I know, like, you know, as an accountant, it probably doesn't impact my clients, but surely, like, that is a great help to first-time buyers.
In actual fact, I go as far as to say that it's imperative that we have the Help to Buy. I was chatting to a friend of mine, Chris, who sells new homes in the UK. I was chatting to him on Friday. He told me that when the Help to Buy scheme finished in the UK in 2023, the new homes market basically fell to pieces. I think half the buyers were only on the market. So it really just shows our neighbours need it. We know we need it. We know we're meeting first-time buyers all the time. We're selling homes in Summerfields. And in actual fact, if they didn't have those that qualify somewhere up to 30,000 for the grant, it's the difference between able to buy their home or not being able to buy it.
Sure.
So it's actually very, very important.
And it's a real positive. The government obviously feel the same because it's been extended to 2029, which gives us a line of sight on it.
Absolutely. It's necessary, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was the extension to the mortgage interest relief for another year, and the landlord letting extension scheme was also extended. I think some of the housing points and the 7.8 billion that was provided to the Department of Housing can only be a positive. But I'd be looking to you to tell me, is it going to be enough to actually change, you know, what we're seeing in terms of what's coming onto the market?
Well, we were really crisis around housing, and there is no silver bullet, let's face it. Would like to have seen maybe more of the Apple money moving in towards infrastructure and housing. You can't please everybody all of the time, but housing, I mean, let's face it, a roof over our head is a primary need. It's one of the 3 basic needs that we all have. We need a functioning rental economy, we need functioning homes, functioning homes market. Like, in terms of supply, we've 60% less properties available on the market than we had pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So there's a huge shortage. The economists are telling us with population growth and immigration, migration, the whole lot, new people moving into the country, everything, all of those factors, then we have families breaking up, we have more people cohabiting than ever before. We need more housing, and yet the experts are telling us we need 60,000 new homes a year, and we're building somewhere in the region of 30,000. So 30 from 60 is minus 30.
Yeah.
So is it enough? No, it's not. I do think that the recent investment in affordable home schemes and those developments are hugely positive and hugely necessary. We just need more.
Yeah, yeah. And surely we need some schemes to actually help stock you know, move in the market, not just in terms of the new build social homes, but just general stock overall.
Well, if you have more social housing, then you have people moving out of rental properties who may be in receipt of social payments to pay the rent, like the HAP payments. So they move out, that creates capacity.
Yeah.
But ultimately what's needed for the rental market is we need supply, and we need to either attract new buyers. We can't bring back the people who've left, but we need to ease that mass exodus. We need more affordable homes. I think the government needs to look at the whole modular homes building. We need it to happen faster.
So we need new ways of thinking.
New ways of thinking. And look, there's other countries like in Norway and Sweden are doing amazing things.
Yeah.
You know, in Amsterdam, I was in Amsterdam 2 years ago, and to see some of the modular homes they're building. I mean, some of these have lifespans of north of 60 years. They're not prefab homes, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely new ways of thinking. It's the whole planning, you know, is very, very difficult. And the biggest issue that most developers talk about is lack of access to money, you know, affordable money.
Okay.
That's a huge impediment.
Okay.
But, you know, there's one of the other things we spoke about in the budget there earlier, which was around foreign direct investment. You might talk about that, please,
yes.
Jennifer.
So one of the big things that was announced in this budget was called a participation exemption on foreign dividends. And what that will do is will attract further foreign direct investment into the country, because those foreign companies will now get more relief on foreign dividends, which is really, really positive for us in Waterford. We hope to see all of those foreign companies coming and opening on our doors. But on the other side of it, because I know from, like, you know, in Fitzgerald Power, we're trying to attract people to move back to Waterford, to move to Waterford for the first time. We want all those people to work for us. But at the other side, there has to be places for them to rent and to live.
Exactly, and that would be the point. Like, nobody jumps off a plane and decides they're going to buy a house. One, they've got to feel out the place, they've got to see are they happy in their job. They've also obviously got to be able to qualify for a mortgage. You can't just get a mortgage the minute you land in Ireland. So we do need a functioning rental market to actually interlink with attracting foreign direct investment, because the first thing that people will need is somewhere to live.
Exactly.
And this whole joined up thinking is needed. And look, it's disappointing in terms of what's happened that there isn't enough. But look, our job is to maybe highlight it a little bit, talk about it, and not necessarily accept it for what it is.
Not be too negative. There are positives in there. I think just a little bit more strategic, long-term thinking and a plan. And I know we're not the only people saying this or screaming for this, rather than just looking to the next election. Exactly.
One positive thing is the inheritance tax. To finish on a positive note.
Yeah, the inheritance tax went, the threshold went from 335,000 to 400,000. So a sizable jump. It was needed for a long time. We've just gone through, you know, a lot of inflationary periods. So really good to see. I'd like to see it continue now over the next couple of years and hike again. But hopefully that will help. You know, if somebody inherits a property, they may actually now keep it, as opposed to have to sell it to pay, you know, to pay a tax liability on that inheritance. So that's definitely a real positive, yeah.
For sure, yeah, I think everyone's very pleased about that. Mm-hmm. Jennifer, thank you very much for coming in, and
thanks for having me.
Appreciate you watching. And if you would like and share, and don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Garb Mila Margot.